So in today's class we are doing the bow bracelet, and this is what it looks like. I went ahead to do a sample, but I used smaller seed beads. Now in this project I'm going to be using bigger seed beads to do it. So you need two different colors of your bigger seed beads, which is a size 10 seed beads. You can use size 8 if that is what you have. Earlier on I've used a size 15, and I realized that if you have to go through the beads a couple of times, it's quite challenging. So in this class you're going to be using the bigger seed beads and see how it goes from there. You can also try on your own with a mixture of small and bigger seed beads. So you can start with smaller seed beads, and as you make it bigger, you'd open them up to bigger seed beads. Whatever it is, you can do it, and then share your pictures with us. Let's see your beautiful creations. So before we dive in, I'd like to say that if you've been with us for a while, thank you very much for staying. And if you're joining us today for the first time, that you subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video is uploaded. Okay, let's get on with it. So you need your crystal for the centerpiece, and then you need your beads. Then you'd also need your beading thread, and for me I'm using the 0.25 and then my big eye needle. The length of the thread I'm using is 40 inches. Okay, and the longer the better because it's a weave you are doing. Okay, so you put your thread through your crystal, leave some working length, and pick on 8 beads. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. On this side, bring your thread through all of this, then back into your crystal. Okay, then we repeat the same step on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat what I just did here on this side too. Now that we have it like this, let's start weaving. So I've gone through my crystal bead and my thread is out here in the crystal bead. Okay, so I'm going to go through my first bead here, pull it out like that, then string on one bead. I'm going to go over this bead and go through the next. Okay, so this is what is happening here. Right, then I pick on another bead. I'm going to skip this bead and go through the next. Okay, then pick on another bead, skip this one, skip this, go through this. So you should have this. Now you go through your last bead, then through your center bead, which is the crystal, right? Then you come back. We are working on this one first before we move on to the other side. Yeah, so you come back again through the same side, go through the first bead like you earlier did, then you climb onto this one. What you're going to do now is try and fill in the gaps that we left when we were. Okay, so we're trying to fill in the gap, so we get a bead to fill in this gap. Okay, and I'm going to go in that manner. Okay, and that has fitted in beautifully. So I'll carry on and fill in the next gap, which is this one. And I think that at this point you should be watching the bead you pick and make sure that you'll be able to fill in that gap beautifully, because we don't want to leave a space over there. Okay, if you think the bead is not big enough, you can double it up so that it fits perfectly. But okay, so okay, so this is what we have. I'm going to go through my center bead again, and then we repeat the same on this other side as well. So flip it over, go through your first bead like that, pick a bead, skip this one, and go through this here. Okay, pick another bead. This is where my thread is coming from. So I pick another bead, skip this bead, and go, my needle goes through this one here. Okay, so this is what we have here for both of them. Okay, we are building our level as we go ahead, but at this point I'm going to be tying these two threads together. I still have my needle on one side attached to one thread. I'm just going to stick it into the beading mat and try and make a knot here so that we can get the smaller thread out of the way. So then I'll cut my short thread. Okay, I'll bend the ends of that short thread. And then we can get it out of the way. So this is what we have. I'm going to bring my needle back. Okay, so we are building on our third row. So I've climbed from the crystal. I've climbed 1, 2 on the side, and then I've pulled it. I'm going to start picking on my thread. So I'm going to build on another row of blue before we change on to build with the other color as well. So my thread has come out of this bit here. I'm going to skip this next bead and go through the other one. Okay, because we are trying to make the shape look like that. So that is what we're trying to get out here. So carry on in that manner, pick on a bead, skip this one, go through this, pick on a bead, skip this one, go through this. So this is what we have beginning to open up like the bow, and as usual we went through the last two. Okay, I'm going to go back into the crystal bead, come out and try and fill in the gap, right? Try and fill in the gap before we carry on to the other end. So I'm going to climb up again 2 beads, the same 2 beads we started it on the side, right? And then we pick a bead, then we fill in that gap here. We need to fill this one, but this gap looks big, so if you think 1 bead will not do, you can make it 2 beads to fill in that gap. Then let's fill in this one. If I get a bigger bead, that will fill in, I think. And then we carry on. So because of the size of the beads we have, you realize that your pattern may not look the shape you actually want, but you'll still be able to get away. So I'll use 2 beads to fill in this gap. Okay, so we're actually getting our bow. And then you remember we went through the 2 beads in the end, so I'm going to go through 2 beads. Okay, back into our crystal, and now we are going to be building our 3rd row for the opposite side. So this is it for this side. We are going to be doing it for this other side. So I've come out of the crystal bead. I'm going to climb up 2 beads on the side here. I'll do it one at a time since it's becoming a bit challenging. Okay, now when I've done that, I pick on my seed bead, go through this bead, pick on another bead, skip this, go through that, come out, pick on another bead, skip this, go through that, pick on another bead, skip this, go through that. Then we have last 2 here. I'm going to go through them, come out, go back through the crystal. So you'll be going through the crystal a couple of times. Okay, then you climb up 2 beads on the side, 1, 2. I'll do it one at a time since it's a bit challenging. String on a bead and then go through this. Right, then I'm going to string on a few beads to go through this because the hole looks quite big. So if I can get 2 beads to fill that bit up, I'll do it. And then fill in this gap here and here. See if I can do it 2 beads as well. Right, now I have a big bead that will fill this one up, so I'll just go like that. You're going to have to put another bead up here. Okay, and then go through the 2 on this side. So this is what we have, actually building our bowl up. So I'm going to go through my crystal again. This time around we are going to build a 4th layer. Okay, so I'm going to climb up 3 beads, 1, 2, 3. Do them one at a time if you can get your needle to go through all of them at the same time. So I'm going to climb 3 beads on the side, then change my beads now to the iridescent one. So I pick on a bead, skip this one, go through this. Okay, pick on a bead, skip this one, go through the next. Pick on a bead, skip this one and go through the next. Pick on a bead, skip the next one and go through this. So I'm going to carry on in that manner until I get to the end, and when I'm done I'll come back. So remember that you climbed up 3 beads here, and when you get here you're going to go through 3 beads. Okay, so I'm going to pick on a bead, skip this one. I've just come out of here, so I'm going to skip this one and go through this bead. Then at this point I'm going to go through all my 3 beads on the side here. So go back through your crystal and then back through your 3 beads on the side. If you can go through them at the same time, it looks like I'm doing that now. I hope I get successful with it. So okay, I was able to go through 2. Okay, and then I'll go through my 3rd bead. Climb up this bead, then fill in the gap, and I think I'll be doing that with 2 beads instead of 1 because that gap is quite big. Okay, then try and fill in this gap as well. If I can do that with 1 big bead, that will do. So there. So I've filled in all the gaps. I'm going to pick on 1 bead as I've come out of here to go through all these beads on the side here. So this is what I have on one side. I'm going to be repeating the same thing I did here on this bit here. Okay, so I'm going to go back through, because my thread is coming out of this bit here. I'm going to go back through the crystal bead and then build my 4th layer with the iridescent bead on the other end as well. So when you come out of the crystal bead, remember you're going to climb up 3 beads on the side. So as you go up each layer, the sides, the number of beads you climb on the side will increase. Okay, so I'm climbing up 3 beads before I start picking up beads and adding them on. So I'm going to pick up a bead because I've just come out of this, skip this and go through this. Okay, and carry on like that till I finish. Now this is what we have for our bow. Now our thread is ended up in the middle. I'm going to try and end it now, and then we move on to do our straps. Okay, so I'm going to go into the center bead to the opposite end and try and end it off there, and then string my needle, and then we start the straps. Okay, so our bow is done. I've gone ahead to string another thread of 30 inches. I'm going to try and find the center of this bow, and for me I think it is this bead. That is where I'm going to be connecting my strap from. So I've just gone through 1 bead like that. I'll leave a bit of working thread, go through it again the 2nd time, and then the 3rd time. So we lock our thread in there, and then I'll pick on 2 seed beads. So these are size 15 seed beads. Okay, so we are doing our herringbone stitch at this time. So if you can see 2, I've just connected 2 of them. I'll go through this one here as always, as the way we do our herringbone stitch, like that. Pick on 2 more, then go through the left bead, bring the thread around, then go through both beads on the right. Okay, get 2 more, just go through only 1 bead on the left. When you've done that, you bring your thread across, because you're going to go through 2 top beads on the right. So you're going to carry on in that manner until you've done the length that will go around your wrist for one side. So I'm going to go ahead off camera, and then I'll carry on to do one strap on this end, bring it back, and then show you, and then do the other strap on the other end as well. Okay, so I did 32 sets of herringbone stitch for one strip. I'm going to finish it off now, so I want to use a bigger seed bead, just one big seed bead to finish off. So I'm going to string one bead through like that on top of it, go through that big bead 2-3 times to make sure it's secured firmly. Okay. Like that. Then send my thread down the herringbone rows just to try and secure my thread before I finally make a knot and cut it off. Okay. I'm going to cut my thread now. Then I'll bend the ends to lock it in. Okay. Now with this done, I'm just going to twist my jam ring open and then slide it into the hole of the bead, and then connect the other end off. Either my toggle or my bar. Okay, so that is it. I've done it for one end. I'm going to carry on and do it for the other end as well, and then bring it back. Okay, so here we are. And then you close it here. So we've come to the end of today's class. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up. And don't forget to share as well. If you've not subscribed already, please do, and hit on the notification bell. Until we meet again.